We are witnessing something very interesting around the payment space. And yes, XRP and Ripple are a big piece of that pie. So we are going to be addressing it. We're going to be talking about it. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. Let's check out this recent video that Subjective Views posted, and it's actually a three-part video where we are starting to see discussions happening around the US, around Swift, and now even Project Embridge is also a big piece of the picture. And we have here, Embridge is a multi-central bank digital currency platform that allows for instant cross-border payments and foreign exchange transactions. Let's be honest, it's very easy to take positions in crypto, but it's extremely hard to actually have a game plan in place when the time comes to take profits. And that's exactly why I released a completely free exit plan that you can apply to literally every single position that you take in crypto. And the best part about it is that it's completely free. All you have to do to get access is go to the link down in the description below and claim your access now. What are you waiting for? Capture those profits. Essentially, it is a digital bridge connecting different countries' financial systems, making international money transfers as easy as sending an email. With my tinfoil hat on, I could imagine a scenario where the US and other powers deliberatively weaponized Swift to force change by ushering in Project Embridge and DLTs that allow for greater transparency in the global financial system. Check this out.
So when transactions are being undertaken traditionally, they ultimately have to be settled through central bank to central bank messaging, whereby the ledgers in both of those banks are adjusted accordingly, where the ledger in one central bank is added to and the ledger in the counterparty bank is subtracted from. This process is quite clunky. It is quite slow and is quite expensive. The principal ways that this process has been implemented in recent times has been through what everyone knows as the Swift messaging platform. And that enables participating banks to communicate with each other, to send secure messages in accordance with a standard format so that they, in effect, can understand what the instructions are from the other side. This process can take many days for the ledgers to be adjusted, and the fees and charges that are incurred in this process are quite high. So we've got a problem of cost and time. Now, those problems, of course, pre-existed the more recent set of problems, and those recent set of problems have gone to how this particular set of institutions has become weaponized. By weaponized, I mean that they have now become part of a process through which one particular party in particular, namely the United States, has been able to cause the operators of Swift to exclude the banks from certain countries or specific banks from being able to exchange messages with others. In other words, kick them out of the key information sharing arrangements that enable cross-border payments to work. Embridge begins to tackle all of these issues. So the way that Embridge does it is that it does it with a distributed ledger or a blockchain. The blockchain architecture is established in two basic layers. The first layer is a layer in which the participating central banks operate nodes, their own computers, which maintain a copy of the ledger. And those nodes also have the authority to be part of the consensus mechanism, which is the way in which this shared ledger is updated. The second layer of this architecture is the layer of the participating commercial banks. Now, those commercial banks also have nodes, and those nodes have a copy of the same ledger. The difference is that the commercial banks don't have the authority to participate in the ledger updates directly. So only the participating central banks actually have the authority to participate in the consensus mechanism that finally settles what the updates are. This distributed infrastructure enables the contemporaneous updating of all accounts. So now we've solved the time problem, because instead of having to wait for messages to be moved from one party to the other and for updates to ledgers to be made, they are made at the same time. In being able to make them at the same time, we also reduce costs. And importantly, because it's a distributed ledger where all the participating central banks are members of the consensus mechanism, no single bank can censor or block or amend transactions. That's the basic design, if you will, and the operations of Embridge to date.
Now, I want to comment on this, but I want to play these other two clips before I fully comment on what's happening with this. But these are major quotes here. So we have the prevailing institutions and technologies that have supported cross-border transactions over the last 70 years are really reaching the end of their use by date. This is a very significant quote because we are seeing the evolution of technology around the largest payment technologies, but also around the largest payment networks and industries worldwide. Everything is changing. Everything is changing, and I've been making videos regarding this even with the BIS, the IMF, the World Bank, and so forth. But listen closely.
I think that there's a realization by organizations around the world when they take a step back from the geopolitics of all of this, that the prevailing institutions and technologies that have supported cross-border transactions over the last 70 years are really reaching the end of their use by date. And I mean by that the realization that these systems and institutions are expensive, they take more time than they really should, and of course, more recently, they've become prone to censorship or weaponization. So all of these factors are coming together where somebody who is relatively neutral in all of this, but is simply interested in a technology and a governance regime that enables confidence and predictability in ledger adjustments across borders, they're all looking for better ways of doing this. And distributed ledger technologies, supported by well-established mature institutions in countries as well as cross-border institutions like the BIS, hold a lot of potential to meeting these ambitions and goals.
And then last but not least, we have the fact that Saudi Arabia is participating in a settlements architecture that enables national currency-based settlements is an important development in the evolution of global settlement systems.
We just mentioned that Saudi Arabia was the latest country to become a full member of the project. What is your take on the significance of the Saudis participating, and what impact do you feel it will have on crude oil settlements?
Look, it's a significant development. One of the main reasons that countries around the world held significant dollar reserves historically has been to ensure that they're in a position to settle their oil purchasing requirements. The fact that Saudi Arabia is participating in a settlements architecture that enables national currency-based settlements, I think is an important development in the evolution of global settlement systems. I think what we're starting to see is the settlements architecture catching up with what's going on in the real economy. So over the last 10 years or so, the trading relationships between Saudi Arabia and China, for example, has been growing substantially. And there is, in fact, no real reason why the trading relationship between entities in these two countries needs to be mediated by the currency of a third party. And so we're starting to see the use of national currencies as part of the trade settlements between enterprises in Saudi Arabia and those in China. So the underlying economic realities of value flows, oil and energy from Saudi Arabia to China, and electronics and other capital goods from China to Saudi Arabia, have reached a volume where there is a lot of upside in terms of time saved and money saved, as well as reduced risk in terms of foreign exchange volatility for these two countries to be trading directly with each other. So moving into Embridge, I think, is a reflection of that fundamental reality.
So as we really look at this, yeah, we are seeing a complete revolution and ultimately an evolution of how payments are made, how the settlement rails are changing, and it's a global thing. Like, this is a complete global change happening. Now, how do I foresee all of this, really kind of moving forward? Well, we know that Swift and Ripple are both a part of the BIS's CPMI group. A lot of people are getting clouded by the idea that Swift is getting replaced and Swift is, going to cease to exist. But I actually think that we are going to see Swift completely innovate fully with the BIS, with Ripple, and with some significant names, even for example, Citi. Going back to November 8th of this year, we saw from Converge new rails to new worlds, building inclusive, innovative infrastructures for global payments. And this is the head of payments from Ripple, Citi, and also Swift. And this is talking about crucial cross-border payments infrastructure, specifically shaping the next generation cross-border payments infrastructure. And it's even talking about implementing it as well. ISO 20022 will be key for this, and we will start to see things changing around, specific networks as well. I do think that now we're starting to see technology, specifically new technology, really be spotlighted by these big names like Swift, if you will, that we thought in the past was never going to look at crypto, never going to even look at blockchain. And that has all changed in just the last couple years. Now, a lot of people have been saying like, oh, well, Swift will not utilize third, party technology, but that's extremely inaccurate. Swift is messaging. They don't work with clearing and settlement. So if you bring in something that's extremely beneficial on that end, it actually levels up Swift entirely and allows them to participate in this new world of finance. And by the way, big shout to Smoke Dog because he put out a full report regarding this. And we have here, this is bank disintermediation, and you have Ripple there in terms of the local bank area. And this is all regarding how we can have a full breakdown of the new system, essentially. This is where you have on the bottom correspondent banking, you have IPFA with Earthport, and then you have Ripple, and this is ACH with local banks with the PSPs, and then you also have the end customer, which is like retail, SME, and corps, and that's where you have Western Union and things like that. Now, Ripple and XRP are technically considered back office technology. It's technology that you actually don't even see. And over here, we have settlement on Corda as well. Again, you have the Corda settler with cryptocurrency, e.g. XRP, and then you have Swift GPI and transfer of funds on Corda. And we have to ask yourself, why would Swift cite Ripple and XRP specifically in two different documents about improving cross-border payments if using Ripple's technology wasn't in the plans? Even a UC Berkeley video confirmed the doc was legit. You have to look closely to understand. Now, I'm not going to play this clip here, but this is from the UC Berkeley regarding this and actually fully breaking down DLT with Ripple and even, with Stellar. And then over here, we have the actual, document itself. And this is from Berkeley. Now, beyond this, a lot of people have been saying like, how is Swift going to work with a third party? They'll never do this. Well, here we have, I really could do this all day and embarrassingly prove every reply troll wrong with the hardest of evidence. I just choose not to. Save it for the other guys. Swift technology evolution, third party instant payments application, API usage in the context of DLT. And here we actually have, and this is the Alliance Gateway Instant Swift technology evolution. Over here, we have create a new generic messaging capability to allow the support of other types of businesses, APIs in the context of open banking DLT. And then whenever I hear APIs, I always think back to the Ripple network, and this is more so with Ripple payments. And this is one interface for payments across any network. And you have that Ripple API connecting to Amazon and Uber and pretty much any major company, anything that you need payments for, basically. And this is with the Ripple API, where you have liquidity, governance, role sets, messaging, and even the settlement infrastructure as well, all tied together. This can allow for Ripple to be plug and played into the Swift network through a third-party instant payment application, which you see on the left side, and this is all through that Alliance Gateway Instant. And when we think about this and we go back to the fact that the head of payments at Ripple and Swift were in a discussion regarding building inclusive, innovative infrastructures for global payments, new rails to the new worlds, it really makes you think. And then when you look at Citi, because remember, the head of payments at Citi was here as well. We have future of cross-border payments, who will be moving 250 trillion in the next 5 years. Like, this is pretty crazy to see the evolution of, these discussions where you have these companies like Citi and Swift in the same room as Ripple talking about these things. And everyone for the longest time was like, all right, no, this is never going to happen. They'll never work together. They're going to have to replace each other. Like, that's not the case here. We're starting to see TradFi working with this entirely new world of finance, which is, mainly DeFi, if you will, but they're converging at a time where we now are witnessing the birth of the new financial system. It might be slow, but it's happening now. And we've been witnessing this through what the BIS has been doing, what the IMF has been doing, and pretty much every single move that is being pushed by the elites. We're witnessing the birth of the new financial system. And it seems as though Ripple is in all of these heavy discussions because of the tech stack behind them and with the connections that they have forged for well over a decade. And they are very high level, connections. We're talking about the IMF, the World Bank, the BIS, the list just goes on. So With that being said, yes, I do think that we are witnessing this major evolution. I think that right now, currently, as we look at these projects being pushed by the BIS, as we look at Swift, I don't think that Swift is going to be replaced by Ripple. And I don't think that, as we really look at Ripple, I don't think that they're trying to replace Swift. I think that what we're going to start to see is a plug and play aspect where the big players that we know of that were really dominating the traditional financial space, we're going to start to see these networks being tapped in with Ripple. For an example, Thunes is a great example of this, right? They have a partnership with Thunes, and this goes all the way back to 2022 and beyond. But this is one of the largest networks out there. Look at these stats. 130 plus payout countries, 85 currencies, 4 billion bank accounts, 3 billion mobile wallet accounts as well. This is one of the largest networks out there. And then you mix in Volante, you mix in Finastra and Accenture. Like, these are the names that you need to be watching for because they are going to expose the Ripple network to massive numbers of users, major markets, and even institutions. So with that being said, if you guys did enjoy this video, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.